The moment began with a light-hearted setup. The host thanked Doc and smiled as he turned to the audience, recalling a recent visit from Sylvester Stallone. During that earlier show, they had played a clip from Rocky III, a scene featuring a massive professional wrestler named Thunderlips. The crowd had loved it. Now, the man behind that unforgettable presence was about to walk onto the stage. Before bringing him out, they rolled the clip again. On the monitor, the towering wrestler loomed over Stallone, radiating pure spectacle and playful menace. He moved with shocking speed for someone so huge, joking, posturing, and tossing his opponent around the ring with theatrical ease. The audience laughed and winced at the same time. Even through the screen, his size felt unreal. When the clip ended, the host hesitated for comedic effect, joking that perhaps they should bring out Brooke Shields first. The crowd chuckled. Then came the introduction everyone was waiting for. Hulk Hogan stepped onto the stage to roaring applause. Everything about him seemed oversized. He didn't simply take a seat, he practically dwarfed the furniture. The host, half amused and half astonished, offered him everything in sight: the chair, the desk, even a footstool. Hogan grinned, relaxed and polite, a surprising contrast to the wild persona the audience knew from the ring. Up close, the host could barely hide his disbelief. Hogan's arms looked sculpted from something other than ordinary muscle. When asked about his biceps, Hogan answered casually, 24 inches. The host quipped that some women's waists were smaller, drawing laughter from the crowd. Clothing, Hogan explained, was a constant struggle. Nothing fit off the rack. Everything had to be custom-made, especially to accommodate his arms and thighs. His chest measured an astonishing 60 inches. Even everyday life, it seemed, had to adapt to his scale. Then came a surprise, an old-school photograph from third grade. The audience leaned in. There he was, unmistakably Hogan, already larger than most of the children around him. The host marveled at how early that extraordinary size had appeared. After a break, the conversation turned to Hogan's weight and diet. Despite tipping the scales at around 320 pounds, Hogan insisted he didn't eat nearly as much as people assumed. His metabolism, he said, was unusual. A typical breakfast might be steak and 6 eggs, which he jokingly called just a snack. The audience reacted with predictable amazement. When the topic shifted to wrestling itself, Hogan's demeanor subtly changed. The easygoing smile gave way to intensity. Merely discussing professional wrestling seemed to ignite something in him. He described the sport not as staged entertainment but as a brutal, physical contest. Every time he stepped into the ring, he said, it felt like fighting for his life. The host, voicing a curiosity many viewers shared, carefully asked whether the matches were fixed. Hogan immediately pushed back. That, he insisted, was a very bad question. If wrestling were fixed, he argued, it would be far easier and far less punishing. Instead, he spoke of pain, injuries, and the sheer toughness required to survive at the top level. Wrestling, in his eyes, was the cream of the crop, drawing elite athletes from amateur and Olympic backgrounds. The host, still intrigued, mentioned a familiar sight from televised matches: a wrestler bouncing off the ropes while the opponent stood waiting. Hogan dismissed the implication of choreography, explaining that whenever he sent someone into the ropes, he had something destructive in mind. Beyond the spectacle, Hogan emphasized wrestling's global reach and relentless schedule. Unlike most sports, there was no off-season. Wrestlers worked year-round, traveling constantly. The business, he claimed, generated enormous revenue precisely because of that non-stop grind. Talk then moved to Japan, where Hogan was already a star. The Rocky III role had helped his visibility, but wrestling, he explained, was deeply embedded in Japanese culture. There, wrestlers were treated with the same reverence as movie stars. The story of how he landed the film role sounded almost unbelievable. While wrestling at Madison Square Garden, he received a note asking him to contact Sylvester Stallone about a major part in a Rocky movie. Convinced it was a prank, he threw it away. Weeks later, a telegram arrived urging him to call Stallone immediately. This time, it was real. As the segment drew to a close, Hogan's intensity softened again into charm. He thanked the host, played to the audience, and delivered a final reminder in his signature style. Hulkamania was running wild. After Hogan exited to applause, the host glanced at the monitor and laughed. Sitting beside Hogan, he joked, made him feel like he was shrinking by the second. And with that, the show rolled on, leaving behind the memory of a guest who seemed larger than life in every possible way.